for self-learning based teaching. Some of you would be familiar with Mr. Vasudevan Natarajan through the Super Sunday sessions from 10 to 11. I'm sure some of you all have been continuously attending that session. Now, just a brief note about Sir. He is an expert in curriculum development, assessments, and technology integration. He is the founder of and director of SuperTeacher EduForms Private Limited. He is a Google certified educator. He's STEM and experiential learning advocate, and also a keynote speaker. So we are very, very happy to have such a resourceful person today to take this special session for all our SBIOA teachers. Sir, thank you very much, sir. And I'll mute myself now. You can carry on with the session, sir. My
Thank you
throat
very
is
much,
very
ma'am.
bad. I'm very sorry.
No problem, ma'am. Yeah. Thank you very much for the warm invitation, ma'am. Yeah, teachers, just another 30 seconds and then we'll quickly start. I'm just doing some settings on the Zoom so that it's convenient for everyone. For the teachers who are able to participate in Zoom, that's fantastic. If you're not able to, we hope you got the YouTube link as well. And our team members will be sharing the YouTube live link right away on the Zoom chat as well. So you can share it with your colleagues who are not able to join Zoom in case if they're not able to. So I would like to request Mukesh to please share that in the Zoom chat as well. And just another one setting on the room so that there's no disturbance during the session. We will have the unmute option enabled in between. Whenever there are queries, the teachers can please put it on the chat constantly, continuously. There won't be any disturbance and all the queries will be addressed. One thing that you might or may not like is right after the session, there'll be one reflection form. So we need to answer certain questions. So, I mean, these are not to test how much you know. It is more on the reflection of the session today. And then right after that, session gets over. So I would like to show that to you in about like 10 seconds. It's already done. And I'll be able to, basically, I'm just connecting my good quality web camera so that I look bright. And here we go. Very good morning and a warm welcome to one and all present over here, teachers. Thank you so much for joining this particular workshop. I would like to wholeheartedly thank the management of SBIOA and Georgina ma'am for having given me this opportunity to talk to some of the most renowned teachers of the country from SBIOA. Thank you so much, ma'am. It means a lot. And for the kind of topic that's given to us today, it is going to reflect upon something called as lifelong learning, and we are going to talk about this in detail. Before I proceed further, I would like to thank all the teachers for participating right on time, and I would like to mention that the YouTube live link is also available, so we are able to accommodate 500 participants in this room, but more than that can be part of the YouTube session. I would like to request Mukesh to please put the YouTube link as well on the chat right now, and if you're not able to access that, I mean the other teachers, kindly share the link with them. You can join through YouTube as well. And for the benefit of everyone, the session on YouTube will remain as unlisted video for as long as the management supports me with. So this video will not be taken out. It will be always there. So even if you want to refer it back, you can refer it back. So today's session is going to be more of hands-on. That means something that we can pick up from here and immediately take it to the class and start doing it. So without further delay, let's quickly start with the session today. And it's going to be quite interesting for multiple reasons, and you'll understand one by one. Whatever we're going to discuss, it's not going to be an opinionated session. Opinionated session. That means I'm going to talk about something related to what I feel is right. I'm not going to talk about my perspectives on education system. No, nothing like that. It's going to be absolutely from the documents that are present, which are globally recognized. Some of the key documents that we have referred for understanding student agency, teacher professional standards are basically National Education Policy, National Curriculum Framework. We've also referred one very good website called as National Council for Teacher Education, where they said that the teachers take a back step and students take the front step. Teachers are no more teachers, they are more like guides and things like that. So we're going to talk about those aspects by referring those documents, and we'll also share the complete presentation that we're using today as a reference material right after the session in the Zoom chat and the YouTube chat both. So you can continue referring those things as well. Let's quickly start. So for that, I would like to share my screen, teachers. It'll be a matter of approximately 1 hour, 15 minutes. And hopefully by that time, we'll be able to cover the complete thing. We'll have very good interactive session on, a lot of queries. We'll have this unmute option enabled in few minutes, in few minutes. And by the end of the session, we'll also have reflection form coming into picture, and this reflection form is basically to test what we have learned, and it'll also have a feedback thing right over there, so you can fill it up. So based on the attendance and things like that, I'll talk to ma'am for the certification and for the process. So here we go. So I'm sharing my screen, and let's start with the first point: methodologies for self-learning based teaching. Now what exactly does it mean? Now this is one important topic that everybody can relate to, at least in this particular era. Now what we actually mean by this is, when we talk about a learning process, there is something called as comprehension pattern. Now, this particular word is being predominantly used in psychology subject of B.Ed. Comprehension pattern is the ability of a person to construct the knowledge outcome. I'll repeat it. Comprehension pattern is about looking at a particular paragraph or a scenario and making judgments out of it. Now, everybody on earth has got their own pattern of observing things, and that is why some people are really good at art, some people are really good at PT, some people are really good at maths or science. This comprehension pattern decides how I approach a particular problem statement. This was discussed even in the previous Super Sunday workshop, coincidentally. So what we actually mean by this is, when we talk about comprehension pattern, some people, the moment suppose you lose the school bus to come to the school, there is a methodology that you take. Okay, I have missed the school bus. Let me immediately take the bike that I have at my home and go to the school by bike. Some people will be on the other hand, oh my God, I missed the school bus. I don't even have a bike. Let me book Ola or Uber. But Ola or Uber is very expensive. Can I take the public transport? Or some people will go with some other methodology. Some people will do this. They'll take share auto. They'll immediately go into. In fact, I've also come across some situations where some people, no, they'll call the colleagues. They'll tell that, hey, Mala, I got late, ma. You also get late. Don't go to the school. Wait for me right outside the gate. I'll come and let's join together. Yeah. So if Mala is really a good friend, she'll definitely wait. You'll know who is a friend, who is a colleague on that particular day. But anyways, the point is comprehension pattern is the ability of a particular individual rather than a teacher to come to a conclusion, a judgment based on their approaches of life. Why are we talking about this? This comprehension pattern is different for different people, and this happens only through something called as self-directed learning. It is called as STL. Self-directed learning is the ability of a person to decide on how they want to learn something. So today we are going to talk about that aspect in a more detailed, research-oriented, elaborate manner. And once we understand that self-directed learning is a permanent thing among the students and of course the teachers, or an individual for that matter, you'll understand that in the class, rather than giving examples continuously, you start asking examples from the student. Many maths teachers have this habit of right after explaining a particular theorem, say for example in grade 8, I think, if I'm not wrong, there is a chapter called as triangles, congruency of triangles, and they ask, there is a midpoint theorem. Right after explaining midpoint theorem, the teachers will not tell the students, hence proved. Some teachers have this ability to ask the students, is that convincing? நான் சொல்றது புரியுதா? நான் சொல்றது convincing-ஆ இருக்கா? Is it convincing enough? So you put a question like, is it convincing? Where the students are given the spot to decide if the theorem is right or not. This is called as agency. The moment the students get the authority to tell if the theorem is right or not, this is not convincing. That means the theorem is not strong enough to convince that particular child. This gives an authority, this gives an agency to the students to decide what is correct or not. So next time when they're going to look at any theorem or a postulate, they're going to have a sense of judgment. Just because it is written in a book doesn't mean it has to be always right. Let me comprehend. Let me think from my style, how this is applicable to the real life scenario, thinking on those aspects. So that's what we're going to get into, teachers. And for that, the first slide is the most important, which I would not like to show right now, but it's very, very important. It's a question that I would like to ask you, and I would like to request everybody to please put it on the chat. There are three things that govern the learning process. Without these three things, learning can never be complete. I'll repeat it. These are called as learning attributes. The three learning attributes form the crux of any learning. Let us understand the basics of this, and anybody who has completed their B.Ed day before yesterday or something like that will definitely be able to answer this question. What are these three learning attributes? You can put it on the chat. Anyone? Just think about it. Without this, learning can never be possible. What are we talking about? Consistency is very close to the third word, but not the right word, Swati ma'am. Fantastic. Anybody else? Anybody else? Three learning attributes. In fact, everybody knows this. If I say, oh, Amala, this I know that. Interest, wow, Uma ma'am, you're very close. Interest is the closest word to the third word, but not the right word. Somebody said understanding. Talakavati ma'am, you're right. Understanding is part of the first word, but not the right word. Keep guessing. Readiness is part of all the three, Sankreshwaran sir, sorry. Self-learning, logical thinking is part of all the three. Listening is part of all the three. Motivation is part of the fourth contribution. We'll talk about that later. Experience is part of the second word, but not the right word. Soumya ma'am, interesting, connecting, both are related to the third word, but not the right word. Checking previous knowledge, Ananda Kumar sir, you're very close. Very, very close. Curiosity is close to the third word, Vijayalakshmi ma'am. Tanuja ma'am, motivation, it's a little away. It's part of all the three. Bhuvaneshwari ma'am, you're absolutely correct. You are the closest so far. You are closest to the first word called as cognitive. Somebody said listening, somebody said observation. Uma ma'am, willingness is part of the third word, but not the right word. Curiosity is again part of the third word, but not the right word. Sasi Devi ma'am, questioning is part of all the three. Previous experience. No, you're very close. Creative thinking is part of all the three. Pushpalata ma'am, you're very close. Focus. Bhuvaneshwari ma'am, you are the one who completed that B.Ed 2 days back. Definitely sure. That's why you're saying cognitive, psychomotor, and where is affective? Affective should be there. Okay, I'll talk about it. I'll talk about it. You're absolutely right, ma'am. Rajkumar sir, you're right. Jigi Rajkumar. I mean, don't mistake me if I'm pronouncing your name right, wrong. The word called as attitude, you have told, ma'am, that is the third word that we're talking about. You're absolutely correct. Third word is actually called as attitude. What are the first two words? The first two words are called as, the first one, some very good. Vimla ma'am, you're absolutely right. Roma George, ma'am, you're also absolutely right. It is called as knowledge. The first word is called as acquiring knowledge. Yeah, acquisition of knowledge. When we learn something, we need to acquire the knowledge that we're talking about. And the second word, Uma Devi, ma'am, you're absolutely correct. Where people were talking about experience, practice and things like that. It comes under the category of Uma Devi, ma'am, you're right. It's called as skills. Second is skills. So first one is knowledge. The second one is skills, and the third one is called as attitude. Attitude, knowledge, skills, and attitude. I think everybody knows about it. Everybody knows about it, and that is the reason, ma'am. What really happened is when we talk about knowledge, skills, and attitude, these are the only three things that actually contribute to learning. There is, of course, the fourth thing, which only a teacher will know. We'll talk about that in few minutes. It's very, very important for today's session. But these three things forms the basis. That is the reason every CBSE circular, when they come, they will say, in order to improve the knowledge and skills of the students, we are coming up with composite skill lab. In order to improve the knowledge, skills, values, and dispositions of the students, we are coming up with Kaushal Bodh, something like that. So these three words, without these three words, CBSE circular will be incomplete. Mandatory, these three words has to be there. Now the interesting part is these three words were found, or I would not say found or discovered or invented, were part of the learning process in India for a very long time, but we wrote this distinctly called as knowledge, skills, and attitude in our old documents. One person took that very seriously. This fellow took it from Asian countries, especially India and China and all these places, and he went to the Western area, especially America, and he gave a serious touch to it. He said that, hey, these three words are much more serious than what you're saying. It is so complex that you guys have not really understood the meaning of it. In fact, whenever you acquire a knowledge, there are certain steps towards that. And these steps can be done only in one layer at a time. This person comes in our life every year. Every academic year, we talk about this fellow and we don't like this fellow. This fellow is kind of irritating. Why? Because we have to follow this fellow to write our lesson plan. Do you know who are we talking about? Who is this fellow? Some of you are thinking principal, right? No. This fellow is much more important than that. Curriculum? No. Oh no, Sundari ma'am, no. You're very close, Sundari ma'am. Exactly, Tina Rose ma'am, you're absolutely correct. We are talking about this fellow called as Benjamin Bloom. Nitya Lakshmi ma'am, 100% correct. It's called as Benjamin Bloom, Bloom's taxonomy. We call him as Benjamin Bloom and Bloom's taxonomy. Bloom's taxonomy is a guy, basically Benjamin Bloom is the guy who took knowledge, skills, and attitude very seriously, and he said that there is a scientific approach to it. He said that knowledge can be attributed to cognitive domain. Skills can be attributed to psychomotor domain. Attitude can be attributed to affective domain, anything that affects you emotionally. See how nicely he has done that. So knowledge is directly related to brain. Now, how beautiful this is. Everything that happens before the brain is cognitive domain. Everything that happens after the brain, it's called a psychomotor domain. Now, what do you mean by before the brain and after the brain? I have a quick question to ask you on that. Can somebody tell me what is the most important organ of a body responsible for thought process? Thought process? Anyone out there? Okay, mind, thought process, the most important organ of a body responsible for thought process. No, okay. Many people are saying brain. What if I say brain is not the right answer? Brain is not the right answer. The most important organ of a body responsible for thought process. Brain is not the right answer. Heart, of course. Okay, heart is there. Let's assume that you are alive. Nervous system is very close. I got the answer. Manju ma'am, eyes are very important. Bona ma'am, ears are very important. Jinsi, eye, pulmonar, heart. You are alive, pulmonar ma'am. Yeah, yeah, alive and kicking. Eyes, eyes. Okay, okay. What is her name? Sundari ma'am. You're absolutely right. Manjula ma'am is also right. We're talking about the most important organ of a body responsible for thought process is the sense organs, eyes, nose, ears, skin, tongue, mouth, basically some people call it. The most important organ of sense organ, mouth. If that sense organ is disabled for a few days, you will be surprised. 90% of life problems will get solved there only. This is the most irritating part. But anyways, the point is sense organs. You're absolutely right. I would like to give you one statement. Tell me, how many sense organs do we have? Five or eight? Five or eight? Can you put it on the chat? Five. Okay, five sense organs. Okay, everybody's like five. Geeta ma'am is like eight. Uh-huh. கொஞ்சம் அதிகமா படிச்சதுனால 8 வந்துருச்சோ Yeah, a little bit of extra studies in 8, 5. Well, over here, you'll be surprised, teachers. You'll be surprised. It's not 5 sense organs. 8 is the right answer. Yeah, there are 8 sense organs. Saran sir is absolutely right. If Saranan is a sir, right? 8 is absolutely the right answer. Think about it. I'm not going to tell you what those are. It's your duty to find the remaining 3. There are 8 sense organs. Rajeshwari ma'am, 6. That's sixth sense. And then இந்த சொல்லுவாங்களே intuition, ஒருத்தரை பார்த்தாலே தெரிஞ்சிடும் அவங்க நல்லவங்களா கெட்டவங்களா. எனக்கு அந்த கேரக்டர் இருக்கு. I have that in me. I can look at somebody and tell that if that person is nice or not. That's called a sixth sense அப்படின்னு சொல்லுவாங்க. No, it's good for movie dialogues, but biology does not allow the sixth sense to work like that. So we have got 8 sense organs. So let's understand what are those 3 remaining 3 little later in another session. But right now, let's go. Yeah, you're right, Madheshwari Jeshima ma'am. Absolutely. Now coming to the point, cognitive domain, psychomotor domain, and affective domain. We're talking about sense organs for one reason. Why? Because anytime the learning happens through the sense organs. Brain just processes the information. This is very important for all of us to understand, teachers. You'll not believe when you open the book, read and write, or read, your eyes are completely active. And that is the reason you're able to learn something. Some people say that, hey, when you're reading, simultaneously do some activity. Now your skin plays an important role. Your ears play an important role during an activity. That is why they say hands-on activity gives you better learning. Very simple reason. More the sense organs involved in the learning process, more the information to the brain, better is the clarity of information. That's it. That's why it's called as experiential learning. So when we talk about sense organs, the utilization of all the sense organs during a learning process can make the best learning experience. I'll tell you one interesting story quickly before we go further. What really happened was, I think science teachers might be able to relate this better, and PD teachers can also relate this better. Generally, if I have to experience, if I have to learn something, experience is better in சொல்றாங்கல்ல. Science is learned by very good experience. For example, when you're running on a race track, you're going really fast, and if you have to take a turn, the PT master will tell the students to bend a little bit. கொஞ்சம் கொஞ்சம் குனிஞ்சு இப்படி ஓட சொல்லுவாங்க. So that the inertia doesn't allow you to just go off the track. Science teachers will give the example of whenever you sit in the bus, when the bus takes a right turn, you go towards the left. This is called as inertia. Appadina explain பண்ணுவாங்க. So all these are experiences. I hope you're able to understand. Now what really happened is, in one of the schools in India, okay, I don't want to name the school and all. You can actually know about the person. Okay, my phone's orientation got changed, so don't get scared. Give me 1 minute. So what really happened was, so there was this teacher who wanted to experience science topics for the students. அவங்க என்ன பண்ணாங்கன்னா, she was so involved. Now all the science topics can be very easily experienced, but can you experience current? Now the chapter is on electricity. Electricity chapter இருக்கிறப்ப எப்படி current experience பண்ண முடியும்? You will not believe what this teacher did. What she did, she took the mosquito bat to the school. Mosquito bat, I do not know how many of you know that. It's very famous. All out kapra mosquito bat da. So this mosquito bat came, and some of you by mistake, when you keep your hands in the net of the mosquito bat and press the button, you will get a shock. This teacher gave the mosquito bat to the students, asked them to touch the net and press the button. And the moment students get the shock, she's telling, this is called as current. She was put in jail. This is a very criminal mistake. You can all appreciate the teacher's creativity over here to experience current. அதுக்குன்னு this is next level, right? My point over here is, when we talk about experience, in fact, back in those days, I'm not sure how many of you know this, the government quartersல we have the black and white switch ஒன்னு இருக்கும், round இருக்கும். By default, when you're going to switch on the fan or light, you will know that you will get the current, you'll get the shock. I'm not sure how many of you are able to relate to this. And the round or box, I'm not sure if you know this. It'll be a small button. You switch on the fan, you'll get a shock. You switch off the fan, so your parents, basically your parents, I'm not sure if in your days was it there or not, they'll know that they'll get the shock and still they'll go and switch on the fan. That's the kind of switch it used to be, and we understood current like that. But anyways, the point is, anything that happens before the brain comes under the category of cognitive domain. And anything that happens after the brain, that means sense organs முடிஞ்சு, you got the information to the brain has processed the information, now it is giving commands to the organs of a body to do something. That's called a psychomotor domain. brain giving instruction to the body. See, that's why it is called as psychomotor domain. All our organs, body parts come under the motor category. Nice, no? So cognitive domain, psychomotor domain. இது ரெண்டுமே நல்லா வேலை செய்யணும்னா, if you have to learn with both of these properly, you need something called as affective domain. Affective domain is called as the attitude, right attitude. Right attitude is the point where I can learn, I will learn only when I'm interested in it. So many people learn out of compulsion. That's not the right attitude. If I have to give one layman's example, how many of you wake up in the morning with full of happiness that I'm going to go to the school? Super. No one. If anybody's really interested, அப்பாடா இன்னைக்கு ஸ்கூல் இருக்கு, oh my god today it's Sunday அப்படின்னு யாராவது இருந்தீங்கன்னா, that is called as a real affective domain to do the teaching. Of course, affective domain is governed by a lot of other things. If I have to say, right in the morning when you wake up, I like to go to the school, but the fact that I see my husband sleeping peacefully or my wife sleeping peacefully when I wake up first, that kind of irritates you. That is called as affective domain. I hope you're able to understand what I'm trying to say. So anything that affects us emotionally to learn something, that's called as affective domain. Anyways, now that we have spoken about the three, in the next 5 minutes, the theoretical part will be complete, and then we'll get with actual, self-learning methodologies. The last part, which is the most important for today's topic, it is called as the fourth learning attribute. This fourth learning attribute, Hemalata ma'am, only teachers will know. Other people will not know. I'll give you one example. So knowledge, skills, and attitude patache. What exactly is this fourth attitude? I'll tell you. Let's assume Geeta Armugam ma'am has come to the school today. Okay. Geeta ma'am's mood is really good. She's very happy today. She's coming to the school excited. Why she's very happy? Her mother-in-law went to her hometown. Okay, she's excited. Appada yarulla. I can make my food the way I want, and my husband has to eat it. That's it. She's very happy. Geeta Armugam ma'am. Now, Geeta Armugam ma'am is coming to the school with a lot of excitement, very happy. She's conducting the class to the students. And when she's conducting the class to the students, the children are today extra happy. They're like, ma'am, fantastic class, Geeta ma'am. Why don't you teach like this every day? Geeta ma'am is really happy internally. She's like, wow, students are appreciating me. But she'll say, sit down, sit down, sit down, don't make noise. What really will happen to Geeta ma'am, I'll tell you. She'll not express her emotions and happiness at that particular moment. What she will do is, right after the school, everybody listen to me carefully. Right after the school, Geeta ma'am will be walking back to home. Everybody listen, walking back to the home. When Geeta ma'am is walking back to the home, she will rewind what happened in the school. She will keep thinking about it because it's a happy moment, right? She'll be like, Geeta, super class ma. And she's walking. Just imagine you're looking at Geeta ma'am. She's smiling on the road. She's excited about the class today. And she's walking all alone on the road. Yeah. If you watch a person, walking all alone, smiling at themselves, talking to themselves, what do you call such people? Any idea? What do you call such people? Come on, you all know it. ரோட்ல ஒருத்தவங்க like தானா பேசிக்கிட்டு சிரிச்சுக்கிட்டே நடந்து போனா, there's no headphones. No, Tanuja ma'am, psycho. Okay. Geeta ma'am, mad, insane, extremely foolish, loose, correct, mentally ill, eccentric. Me time. Oh, யாருங்க இது? நர்மதா ma'am. Okay. Me time, absent minded, mentally ill, lunatics. Oh my god. Geeta Armugam ma'am, did you see how many colleagues do you have? Inner happiness. Elizabeth ma'am. Introspection, I'll tell you, teachers, this person who's called as mentally ill or mad is actually the fourth learning attribute. You will not believe. The most important for any learning process, and for today's topic, one of the most important word, this fourth learning attribute, what is it called as? It's not mad, it's not mental, it's not it's not anything negative. It's highly positive. You'll not believe this will be present only with human beings. What is it called as? Some people say motivation, you're very close, but not the right answer. Introspection, very close, but not the right answer. Self-motivated, close, not the right answer. Self-esteem, close, but not the right answer. I got the answer. I got the answer. Anita ma'am, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. This particular thing, the ability of Geeta Armugam to think about what happened in the past, that is in the school, and self-appreciate, self-realize, self-actualize. It's about thinking about their own thinking. This is called as metacognition. What is it called as? Metacognition. Yes, it's called as metacognition. Anita ma'am, you're absolutely correct. all these words like self-being, self-actualization, self-realization, self-confidence, self-esteem, எல்லாமே இந்த கேட்டகரியில தான் வரும். Metacognition is the ability of a person to talk to themselves and decide what they have done in the past is right or wrong. The metacognition abilities of a person increases to a very large extent only after the age of 21. Until that, the metacognition language gets formed. What do you mean by metacognition language? I'll tell you. The ability of Geeta or Mugam, when she's walking and thinking about what happened in the class, she's not going to talk to herself in English. Geeta ma'am, good job, madam. You did a apdi pesa matanga. She'll not talk like that. She'll talk in her mother tongue. Probably if it's Malayalam, she'll talk in Malayalam. Probably if it is Tamil, she'll be like, Semma class ma. அந்த பையன் அந்த கொஸ்டின் கேட்டான்ல அதுக்கு ஆன்சர் பண்ணி சான்ஸ் இல்ல. Now Geeta Armugam is talking to herself in her own language. This is actually called as metacognition language. That is why people say until the first 2 years of a baby is born, it is important for we to inculcate the mother tongue, or it is important for us to inculcate the most exposed language of that particular region. Medium of instruction should be Tamil if it is Tamil Nadu, but the books language could be English. Yeah, it's absolutely fine. But metacognition language is very important in early classes. That's it. That's it. We have come to the end of the theoretical part, teachers. Now I'm going to make a conclusive statement, which you will love it, and then we'll start with the actual part of the section. Teachers, everybody listen to me carefully. The ability of a person to use the knowledge, skills, and attitude to solve a real life problem with metacognition thinking is called as competency. It is called as competency. The ability of a person to use the knowledge, skills, and attitude with the right combination to solve a real life problem at metacognition level or with metacognition thinking is called as competency. In the Varta, competency-based education is very important. What is competency? This is competency. That is why in a particular school, if there are 2 teachers, say Rajeshwari ma'am and Sophia ma'am, both are teaching the same subject, you'll not believe some students will like Sophia, some students will like probably Jansi or Rajeshwari. Some students may not like any of them. Some students will like some of them. I hope you're able to understand why, because the students are looking at that particular teacher with different level of competency. Students don't care how much knowledge you have, how much skills you have. They care only about your attitude. Are you very happy in the class? Are you keeping me engaged? But a principal is not like that. A principal will look at the teacher in all the 3 angles. Does this teacher have the required knowledge, required skills, and required attitude? I hope you're able to understand. That's it. This is called as competency, the right combination. That is why when we go to different hospitals, we tell, hey, this doctor, na, he's always grumpy. I mean, pesave matter. It's like hard face, but his medicines are very good. That means attitude is not that great, but the knowledge and skills are very good. Sometimes you go to the doctor and you're like, hey, in the doctor smile panale podu. The doctor smile will cure your COVID, something like that. So this particular ability is basically called as attitude is good, knowledge and skills you don't care. That's why it's called as competency. Now coming to the most important point. Methodologies for self-learning based teaching comprises of 4 important attributes that we need to kindle in the students for them to self-direct. It's called as knowledge, skills, and attitude. And the 4th one is called as metacognition. So today's session is going to be understanding the science behind self-learning, identify research-backed methodologies, redesign one existing lesson into a self-learning model, use simple tools and strategies without extra workload. Enna pannalam? We are at a generation where the children are getting more exposure than the teachers. We are at the generation where the students are able to learn things way faster than the way we used to learn in the past. So it's very important for all of us to make sure that let us not stop the students' fast-paced learning. Let us allow them to learn at their own pace and make sure we guide them right. Now, I'm sorry. This guidance is going to be the core part of the rest of the sessions, and we understood what is knowledge, skills, and attitude, and finally metacognition. And in order to support whatever we are speaking, ma'am, I want to tell one important statement called as practice makes a man perfect. I think everybody knows that. It can be good or it can be bad. Now, this practice makes a man perfect is not a simple dialogue by some great educator. It is basically a biology. It's complete neuroscience. What really happens, the more a child develops the habit of, somebody said habits actually, Pushpalata ma'am, you're right, habit of learning by themselves, understanding things by themselves in their own comprehensive pattern, they will have better lifelong learning capabilities in the future. How does it actually work? Let me show you the biology part of it. Have you heard this word called as synapse in your life? Synapse in your life? I'll tell you what synapse is in the form of a video, and then we'll continue with the session. So I'm sharing the screen. I'm sharing the audio as well right after this. And now you should be able to watch this.
Neurons communicate with each other, relaying messages throughout your body and powering all of your thoughts and actions. Neurons talk to each other using both electrical and chemical signals. Messages start as electrical signals traveling rapidly down a neuron. These signals are called action potentials. When they reach the gap between two neurons, the messages need some help to get across. The information is transformed from an action potential into a chemical message, which crosses the gap called a synapse. The release of those chemical messengers can trigger an action potential in the neuron on the other side of the synapse, conveying the message onward. Or it can quiet the message. This happens over and over and over. And with repeated activity, the synapse gets stronger, so the next message is more likely to get through. That way, neurons learn to pass on important messages and ignore the rest. This is how our brains learn and adapt to an ever-changing world.
Sorry, I was on mute, teachers. I think you're able to hear me now. So this particular part, the synapse, is basically that part where the neurons communicate with each other. And the best part about this is the more the neurons talk to each other, the more they interact with each other, the better is the strength of the bond. Now, if anybody has this habit of doing something and you want to break it, it's very difficult. It's because your synapse is strong. So you need to gradually remove it. And the more you untie it, the better is for you to remove it. And you know what? Coincidentally, ironically, the breaking of a particular habit is also a synapse. You know, that synapse has to be, that gap has to be reduced to a large extent than the gap of the habit getting accumulated. I think you're understanding a little bit. That's it. That's it. So that's with respect to the understanding of what exactly the synapse is. That is why, we get habituated to a particular person in our life, that he's the best or she's the best, not just because we love them, not just because we have a lot of affection with them. Yeah, it's absolutely true. But what's more important than that is the more we spend time with the other person, the more we understand them. Why? Because synopsis. Nice, no? So it's very nice thing that biology has given human beings on cultivating a particular habit. So now let us understand this with the next one, teachers. And for that, I would like to share my screen again. 1 second. And off, I'm sorry. So why self-learning attitude is important? Now coming to the core part of the session with respect to self-learning. Now that we have understood the competency part, we have understood the knowledge, skills, and attitude with metacognition part. Now let us understanding self-learning. Key research insights. Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, 2019. What they said is students who regulate their own learning outperform peers by 20 to 30% in problem solving. So it's not about giving them something and then they learning. All the students who have been scoring 100 out of 100 in the last or before 10 years, they were not really found to be great in problem solving. In fact, many children, even in Tamil Nadu, you might know, they are very good scorers in 10th and 12th standard out of 200 or 100. But when they come to engineering or any medical field or whatever it field could be, they are able to not score above 35 or 40 or 50. They literally have something called as arrears. Now, why does this happen? It's because the questions in the graduations are not like the way we are asking in the school. And for us, to all the other teachers who are there here in the session, to give you one quick clarity, education system should talk to each other. Now, what do you mean by that? There are three things, ma'am. First is school education, second is graduation, the third is industrial requirements. Whatever the industry is requiring, that has to be conveyed to graduation. Graduation, whatever they want to teach the students, has to be conveyed to the school education. When all the three people are talking to each other properly, only then the communication can happen, the education system can be really good. Unfortunately, in India, that is a very difficult case, and that's why education system in India is not considered to be great. Why? Because this communication did not happen, but not anymore. After the implementation of national education policy, multiple bodies have joined together and they're doing something related to talking to each other. Adinala skill education came into picture. We'll not talk about that right now. We're going to talk about something more important in this process. During the schooling process, the students have the ability to choose what they want to learn. Now, this is where student agency comes into picture. That means ability of the students to learn what they want. And the person who advocated that to a very large extent is basically OECD, Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development. I'll tell you what it is. I'll tell you what it is. For that, let me stop sharing the screen. And I would like to talk to you on that for a few seconds. 1 minute. I think you're able to, now you see. What really happened was, it was the year 2009, around, the time when the education minister was, say Saravanan sir? No, education minister was Kapil Sibal. Okay, Kapil Sibal was the education minister. Now what he did is he met a person from another country, and this person said that, sir, your education system is not that great. Can you, do something about it? Now, this Indian education minister, Kapil Sibal, at that particular time in 2009, he said that, how dare you say that our education system is bad? If you really are so not confident about our education system, why don't you conduct one exam? Immediately, the person who came to meet the education minister, basically Kapil Sibal, took that very seriously and he conducted one exam. This exam happened in 2009, a groundbreaking exam. Many countries participated, including India. In fact, to be precise, there were 73 countries that participated. The results came and India was shocked with the results. And the person who came from foreign was also very shocked. He was surprised. In fact, he never came to India after that. Do you know what was the rank that India secured out of 73? Any idea? Some rough guesses? I think some of you might already know about it. Anyone? What is the rank that India secured in that particular exam that was conducted in the year 2009? Aishwarya ma'am says 73. No, Uma ma'am 7. Okay, 7. Very good. Anybody else with any other number? Salma ma'am says 70. Geeta Armuga ma'am 15th rank. Okay, go ahead. Tell me some number, random number. Out of 73, what do you think that India secured? First rank. Very good, Francie ma'am. That is patriotism. Mahalakshmi ma'am, third rank. Srikala ma'am, out of 73 countries, madam, 146 cannot be the rank, right? Ponmalar ma'am, 30th. Sophia ma'am, 27th. 24th. After this, all lucky numbers are coming now. Idan என்னுடைய ராசி number 2. This is the rank. That's okay. No problem, teachers. You'll not believe, many people said, Srikala ma'am, you're right, actually. Yeah, it's last but one. Basically, India got second rank from the bottom. India rank 72. You'll not believe, India scored 72. Now, what really happened after that, you'll not believe. Kapil Sibal, 2009, Saravanan in this case, was really unhappy with this. He called all the people who left our country. The British Council, the Cambridge, UK NARIC, Alpha Plus. All these 4 people came back to India. They met Kapil Sibal and they said that what's the issue? Why your rank is so less? Then Kapil Sibal said that something is wrong. I do not know. These 4 people said that we'll go to the country and we'll figure out what's the mistake. They went to all the schools in India, approximately 800 schools. Navodaya Vidyalayas, Kendriya Vidyalayas, Army public schools, Atomic Energy Center schools, approximately 800 schools they went. And when they came back with a report. But unfortunately, when they came back, Raja Manohari ma'am, when they came back, it was already 5 years. It took them 5 years to write the report. And you know what? When they came back, they thought Saravanan is sitting over there. They thought Kapil Sibal is sitting over there. But it was not Kapil Sibal ma'am. It was basically Smriti Irani madam. The new education minister, the government had changed. 2014. Smriti Irani ma'am is sitting with this new people saying that you tell me what is the issue. Then they tell the whole history. And then Smriti Irani ma'am calls Kasturi Rangan sir. Kasturi Rangan sir, the ISRO chairman at that particular time, and they both sit together with these four people and they talk about it. The British Council says in India, technology is very poor. You need to incorporate that. Only then your education system will be good. Immediately, Kasturi Rangan sir, as early as possible, let us include coding and artificial intelligence in the curriculum. Immediately, we are telling problem number 2 is writing solution number 2. Problem number 3, solution number 3. Multiple solutions happened, sir. Multiple solutions were written that went on multiple iterations of corrections, changes, and in 4 years, December 2019, the first draft document of that solution was launched. And this particular document was called as National Education Policy 2020. NEP 2020 came in the year 2019 December by Dr. Kasturi Rangan, stating all the problems mentioned by British Council, Alpha Plus, UK NARIC, and Cambridge, and looking at their document and then comparing with our document and adapting from our own books in the past, the national education policy. So today, if we say NEP is good, NEP is bad, who made it, who did not make it, is it Congress or is it BJP? All those political dialogues, it gets faded away when you understand that this process started long time back. Who is the culprit? Who is that criminal culprit who came to India because of which this came? It's OECD. That foreigner who came to India is none other than Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development. They were the one who conducted that very irritating exam called as PISA, but the beautiful exam because the questions are really good over there. Program for International Students Assessment that led to something called as National Education Policy. In NEP, one of the important points states that students should be self-directed. They should have this ability to learn by themselves. And that's why we took the report of OECD that got stated in 2019. The research clearly shows that the students who have got the ability to learn by themselves are better problem solvers. That's it. That's it. So this report is important for me to share with all of you. And that is the reason we thought we'll take a quick snap. So tomorrow, if anybody says that NEP is by so-and-so person, no. NEP is by Saravanan sir. Long time back, maybe. Then, of course, National Research Council, NRC, karke, there is one body. Learning is deepest when learners actively construct knowledge. Now comes the part. Now, when we talk about another reasoning, metacognition, thinking about thinking, teachers must design lessons that help students plan learning, monitor understanding, evaluate outcomes. Classroom strategy, what do I already know? What confused me today? What strategy worked best? The children need to write this down. Maybe from 6th standard onwards, they can write it by themselves. But eventually, all these questions are leading towards to what they have understood, talking to their own brains. I told you, right? Metacognition is very important for today's session. Now, second is cognitive load theory. We're not going to get into the details of all these things because these are just the reasons. Overloading explanation, skill learning. Self-learning works when content is chunked, tasks are progressive. Basically, less explanation, more guided discovery. I'll repeat it. Less explanation, more guided discovery. You'll not believe the last line, less explanation, more guided discovery, is the theme line of our curriculum in India called as International Baccalaureate Curriculum, IB curriculum. In fact, in IB curriculum, teachers, the students will not even have the textbooks. They will learn only through explorations with activity sheets. Anyways, I'll go further. Next is constructivism. Vygotsky, whatever you call it, and Piaget, John Piaget. They said that knowledge is constructed, not transferred. I'll repeat it. Knowledge is constructed layer by layer. It is not transferred directly. Learning happens best in the zone of proximal development, which is called as ZPD. What is teacher's role? You need to scaffold, step back, observe, and intervene. I'm going to ask you one question at this particular point, and then we'll go to the next part of the session. Let me see how many of you are able to answer this question correct. Okay, scaffolding. Yeah, you're right. So, ma'am, I'll tell two statements. You need to tell me which one is true. I'll tell two statements. You need to tell me which one is true. Statement number one. Statement number one. I breathe in and my lungs expand. Statement number one is I breathe in and my lungs expand. Statement number two is my lungs expand first and then I breathe in. My lungs expand first and then I breathe in. Which statement is true? Okay, Anand Kumar sir says 1. Soumya ma'am says 1. Christina says, okay, 1. Dhanimati 1. Okay. Both are true, ma'am. Okay. Okay, Rajeshwari ma'am says 2 is true. Hemima ma'am says 1. Anuja ma'am says 2. Okay, Ratnavil sir says 2. 2 is important and 2 is true. I breathe in and my lungs expand is statement number 1. Statement number 2 is my lungs expand first and then I breathe in. So which statement is true? It's a beautiful question to understand that we are all there at a certain age with experience, and you'll not believe that this kind of misconception can lead to something called as constructivism cascading effect. What does it mean? We are going to talk about that. That's the reason we're talking about this. Both will take at the same time. Geeta ma'am, both are wrong. Elizabeth ma'am is like, that is wrong. Both are wrong. Same time? No. It's like hierarchy for sure. It happens very closely to each other. We need to do a very good debate on this to understand this. And you've got multiple people saying 2 is correct. Arogya ma'am, Musharani ma'am. Yeah. Jackson sir. Okay, Teenmuri ma'am says 2 is true. I'll tell teachers, you'll not believe everybody who said the statement number 1 is true. We are unfortunately wrong. Statement number 2 is true. Yeah, Rehmat sir, you're right. It's basically the second statement is true. I breathe in and my lungs expand is wrong. My lungs expand first and then I breathe in is right. There is a person in the organ system called as diaphragm. It expands the lungs. It expands the lungs. When lungs are expanded, there is a space getting created. When the space gets created. In third standard, we studied a chapter called as air occupies space. That just because air is there, the air goes inside. Like the lungs has created space. So if I have to talk about in scientific terms, the low pressure is created and the air goes inside because air moves from high pressure to low pressure, blah, blah, blah. The point is, if I had understood the concept of air occupies space in third standard, I would have understood the concept of probably respiration. If I had understood the concept of respiration, I would understand the concept of low pressure and high pressure. If I had understood the concept of low pressure and high pressure in science, I can understand the concept of low tides and high tides in geography. If I understand the concept of low tides and high tides, pressure, volume, I'll be able to understand the mathematical chapter called as 3D shapes and volumes. See how nicely it is there. This is called as constructivism cascading effect. Cascading effect is whenever you learn something or you do not understand something, it either layers multiple understanding in it or it layers multiple misunderstanding in it. This is called as cascading. If I have to tell in simple terms, say for example, Shrikala ma'am was there in third standard. And when she was in third standard, unfortunately today she got fever. As she got fever, she was not able to come to the school. And today, unfortunately, they were teaching 2-digit addition. The max teacher was teaching 2-digit addition with carryover to Shrikala, but Shrikala was not present in the class. Why? She had fever. She did not come to the class next day. She did not come to the class again next day. And suddenly the teacher started the next chapter. Now Shrikala is coming to the school. When Shrikala is coming to the school, a new chapter is beginning. She's able to understand something. She's not able to understand something. Exams are coming, annual exams are coming, and she scored 95 out of 100. Instead of scoring 100 out of 100, which she could have, she scored 95 out of 100. If 95 out of 100 Shrikala scored, do you think you're going to scold her? No, you'll be like, good marks. Parents, good marks. Shrikala, yeah, I got 95 out of 100. Now Shrikala is going to fourth standard. Again here, max teacher is coming and she's teaching 4-digit addition with carryover. Shrikala is trying to look at the board. She's trying to understand, but she's not able to. She's not able to comprehend. And this time again, annual exam is coming. She scored 85 out of 100. Parents are happy. Teachers are happy. Shrikala is happy that she called 85 out of 100. She goes to 5th standard. That 85 becomes 75. She goes to 6th standard. 75 becomes 65. But when she comes to 7th and 8th standard, Shrikala already started telling people that she hates mathematics. What does she do? She hates mathematics. Why? Because she did not understand addition. So who is the culprit for Shrikala to tell that she did not understand something or she hates mathematics? Who is the culprit? Is it the teacher? Is it the parent? Or is it Shrikala? No, I'll tell you the right answer is the fever. The fever is the culprit. If that fever was not there, she would have come to the school. Now, identification of such kind of misconceptions can happen only when you allow the child to explore by themselves. That is why it is called as self-directed learning. The students will hesitate to learn something that they don't like, or they want to learn that in their own way. That's called as SDLs. I hope you're able to understanding. Yes, you are absolutely. This is called as cascading effect. See how nicely they've been constructivism and cascading effect. I would like to show further. I would like to show further. This is called as Piaget's Vygotsky's, construction of knowledge. And then there is something called a zone of proximal development, which we will see later. For a teacher, it's all about curriculum, pedagogy, assessment, and technology. Our life revolves around only these four parts. You talk about CBSE curriculum and you teach according to that, which is pedagogy, and you conduct exam, which is called as assessment. Some people use technology as well in the process of using, for example, they use, chat gpt to generate question paper. Probably they use nearpod for slide presentation. They use quizzes for assessments. Could be right. That's called as technology. So we need to understand our curriculum, upgrade our pedagogy, upskill our assessment, and utilize the technology. See, all you understanding curriculum, right? Upgrade the pedagogy, upskill the assessment, and fourth is technology. You remember, teachers, it is never about asking, it's never about explaining the right topic. It is more about explanation to the wrong answer with the right questions. I'll tell you methodologies to improve the self-learning capabilities of the children. The first one is called as metacognitive teaching methodology. Many people go with the question, did you understand? No, let's not ask that. Let's ask, how did you try to understand? Something like that. Now, when you say, how did you try to understand? The children are put in the spot of thinking, okay, what I can do better. This is how I tried. Comprehension pattern, which we started the session with. So before lesson, what do I already know about this topic? After lesson, what confused me and why? You need to write what confused me and why. It is a forcible way of asking the children to commit, to say that they got confused today with something, so that they write something. And when they write something over there, they get more clarity. I'll prove you. Already I proved you once by saying that you do not know how you breathe. It's called as misconception, right? I'll prove you with more questions to understand that we don't have the clarity of a lot of basic concepts, which leads to another important concept in future. What strategy worked best today? Something like that. So this could be metacognitive teaching methodology, where rather than asking some question related to simple yes or no, ask them to think on their own thinking. That's why it's called as metacognitive teaching methodology. Nice, no? For example, the first session where we started with, hey, is this convincing? Sun rises in the east and sets in the west. Is that the true statement? If I ask you that question, what will your answer be? You're asking the students, sun rises in the east and sets in the west. Is that a true statement or a false statement? Vijay ma'am, I'm going to talk about revision and recalling in few minutes. Thank you for bringing that up. That is part of this actually. It's a false statement. Okay, everybody's like false. அதுதானே first standardல சொல்லி தரோம். Earth rotates, so sun does not rise. Why do we have that in the first standard then? Appears to be. Okay, that's fantastic, ma'am. Now, here, what's really important for us to understand is, depending on the grade, we sometimes create deliberate misconceptions or conceptions. Sometimes it's like Earth rises and sets. It's a wrong thing. No, it's not a wrong thing. It's just at that particular moment, the children cannot comprehend. It is just like Shrikala ma'am is in third standard. Now she is in hospital, just now born. Assume that when she's coming back home, will she think that she's going home or the world is going backwards? I'll repeat it. Shrikala is a baby just after delivery coming to the hospital, sitting inside the car, ready to go back home along with the mother. She's looking out of the window and the car is moving forward in reality. But what will she perceive? Will she perceive as if the whole world is moving backwards, or will she perceive as the car is going forward? Think about that. Yeah, some of you must be like, now itself I'm thinking like that only. So I am there, here the world is going backwards. Something like that. Yeah. So this is called as theory of relativity, of course. So what confused me and why? What strategy worked best today? It's something related to uh, my relative understanding. That's why sun rises in the east, sets in the west. Metacognitive teaching methodology. Let's go with the second one. Now this is called as inquiry-based learning. Inquiry-based learning is all about asking the right questions. Now, when we talk about asking the right questions, let us have this habit of making sure there are three basic questions that you'll ask, mandatory in every class. Forget about whatever type of teaching you're teaching. Let's not even name inquiry-based learning. But let us ask good questions. Now, when I say good questions, one of them will be, today we will learn evaporation. No, let's not talk like that. Let's say, why do wet clothes dry faster on a sunny day? See, That is putting them in the spot of competency, knowledge, skills, and attitude. You remember? So here it's in the real life context. The children know that if I put my wet clothes in the sun, which their mothers might be doing it predominantly, they'll understand, oh, this is why it's happening. And sometimes it can get dried faster in the washing machine itself. How does that happen? To talk about probably centripetal and centrifugal force, that could be done. So here the questions matter a lot. For that, I would like to ask you one question. Let me see who is able to answer this correct. Uh, please understand this, teachers. Very, very important. Uh, the following tumblers are made out of different materials: steel, glass, paper, clay. Which of them can reflect light? Come on, try to answer this question. Try to answer this question. You can say A, B, C, D. Okay. The following tumblers are made out of different materials. Okay. Steel, glass, paper, and clay. Which of them can reflect light? Think and answer. Okay. Think and answer. Many people say A and B. Some people say glass. Okay. Okay. Option A, option B, only 1 and 2. Okay. B, D, G. Okay. Somebody has given your phone to your son or daughter and they're playing here. Am I right? I'm just kidding, ma'am. That's okay. A, B, 1 and 2. B and C. Okay. Okay. B and C. No. Only A and B. You're all going to have a gentle smile on your face. Remember, when we talk about self-directed learning, it is also the ability of a student to understand things at their own pace. Competency-based education should not have a timeline. It is towards the mastery of learning. And this question is a perfect example for that. I'll tell you what exactly it means. Amravati ma'am, Kavita ma'am, you're all absolutely correct. Teachers, everybody who said the answer to be A, B, C are wrong. All 1, 2, 3, and 4. D is the correct answer. See, we are all able to see steel, glass, paper, and clay. We are able to see them. That is because light is reflecting from them. If light doesn't reflect from them, you can't even see them. Are you able to understand? The point is, I, as a teacher, understood in a class of students over there that the children got confused between the topic of reflection, refraction of light with probably transparency and opacity of light. Nice, no? So only when I got to ask this question to the students, I got to know what the children did not understand. In competency-based education, this is one of the core part. How can this be resolved? This can be resolved using inquiry-based learning by including a lot of questions where the children are given the authority to speak up so that you identify the misconception and the gas. Now, this question, whoever answered ABC, you all had fever in your grade 1, 2, and 3. That is the reason today this answer is wrong. I hope you're able to understand. Okay. Before I go to the next one, I have one last statement, a very interesting statement that I got to hear from one of the CBSE research person. How many of us, you can answer this question, okay? You can answer this question, but don't answer the second question. How many of you teach the subject that you teach because you love that subject? You can answer. How many of you teach the subject that you teach because you love that subject? This is my favorite subject. That's why I'm teaching this. Anybody like that? You all have to say yes for this. You know that, right? How many of you say that you teach the subject that you teach because you love that subject? Yeah, you like the subject. Oh, love. Mercy ma'am is like, love is too much, not that much. Like, okay. Okay, done. Don't answer the next question, ma'am. Don't answer the next question, Mala ma'am. Next question is, how many of you teach the subject that you teach not just because you love the subject, but because you hate all the other subject. Think about it. You hate all the other subjects. Love and hate is an exaggerated term over here for us to clearly distinct the differences. But think about it. You don't have to answer this question. How many of you teach the subject that you teach because you love the subject? Everybody's like, yes. But how many of us teach the subject not just because we love the subject, but because we hate all the other subject? I'm just exaggerating it, ma'am. It could be no, yes, it's absolutely fine. Why we are talking about it? Because the function of the choice of the subject that I want to learn right now as an individual is not just the function of my affection towards it, but also my not understanding or my misunderstanding in other subjects. I'll repeat it. Yeah. Yeah. Hate is a very wrong word. I'm just exaggerating it for a little bit of humor over here, nothing else. But the point is, if I'm a maths teacher today, I'm a maths teacher because I understood maths better than science, probably, or maths better than social, probably, or maths better than English. I hope you got the point. So it's not just about what I like, it's also about what I understood little less. If I have to give you one practical example, I think everybody will agree to me. I'm not sure. So we come from a generation, especially in Tamil Nadu, in 70s and 80s. The marriages does not happen like love marriage sort of a thing. It was like a taboo thing. If love marriage happened in 70s and 80s, and if you're one of the couples over there, it is basically you ran away from your village, came to the nearest town, and started living, applied for the bank job, and you are here. Something like that. It's a very rare thing. Now I'm going to tell you one scenario. When such kind of time in such kind of times, what used to happen is there used to be somebody called as a broker who comes to our home. Let us assume it is a lady's home, and the father of the girl will be there in the table, and the broker will keep 10 pictures. Now these 10 pictures are of the groom. Now what we will do actually is, do you go like, this person, Mr. Natarajan, basically my father I'm talking about, he's the right person, he's the right life partner that I can ever have. So let me marry him. Do you think my mother thought like that? No. What my mother would have actually done, I'm telling you, not only my mother, all of us, we would have first looked at those 10 pictures. We would have first looked at those 10 pictures and removed two pictures that are not applicable. Removed two pictures that are not like 10. You removed that. The 10 became 8. The 8 became 6. Then 4, and then finally 2. So the process of selection of your husband, you choose the one last person and then you marry. It was not out of the affection or love or the positive impact. It was more from the elimination method. Life partner itself is elimination. You're teaching math subject. Do you really think you chose maths because you love? No, that was also serious elimination. That is why they say that students do not choose the subject, they choose the teacher. If a boy is saying that I like maths, he doesn't like maths. He liked Gita teacher who taught maths. I hope you're getting the point. Some student says, I love social science. It's not because of social science. It's because Mahalakshmi ma'am taught social science. So the students do not choose the subject. They choose the teacher. And that is why if you look at that particular aspect of what I really like and what I really know, it is not something that you can give to the student. It's self-done. It's just that the teacher has to become a better guide in that case. Mahalakshmi becomes a little more serious about the child's life. Mercy becomes a little more serious about the subject and in turn the students. So whatever student's profession that is there in reality right now, it is a function of not just what they don't like or like, it is also the teacher. Now, if I say how many of you hate chemistry, it's not chemistry as a discipline. It's because chemistry teacher did not make it easy. That is the reason this topic is very, very important. The point of inquiry based learning, asking the right questions. So, which leads me to the next one called as scaffolded learning methodology. Here, we just give the structure to a particular curriculum. We don't really give, the direct answers. For example, providing temporary support and gradually removing it. Explain everything. No, support only when needed. That's why teachers will use all the examples to explain something and give exercise for homework. It's a good scaffold. Worked example, guided practice, partial hints. You would have seen that PT teachers, special what they do is yoga class or yoga teachers or whoever they are, physical education teachers, they will tell the students to follow them first. Now this is called as guided mechanism. Okay, what they'll do is they'll run like an athlete and show them, see, this is how I'm running. When I'm running, more hand movements, better is the speed and the acceleration. So focus not on the legs but on your arms, so that you, so this will be shown by the teacher. This showing is called as guided practice. In fact, in the psychomotor domain, just like cognitive domain, you've got remember, understand, apply, analyze, evaluate, and create, right? For psychomotor domain also you've got perception, set. Third is guided response. Fourth is complex overt response. Fifth is adaptation. Sixth is origination. So this particular guided practice comes in this particular stage called scaffold learning methodology. Partial hints, you don't give right answers. Independent attempts. So adopted or adapted from the zone of proximal development by Vygotsky and John Piaget. That's one of the videos that I would like to play right now. Just see a small video to understand how you can learn better. For this, I would like to share the screen, share the audio.
You've probably noticed that there are things you can do on your own and things that are impossible to do. But there are also certain things in kind of a middle zone that you can't do on your own own quite yet, but you can accomplish with a little bit of help. And that help might be from a teacher, from a parent or guardian, or from a peer. But it might also be a resource like a book, a video, or a podcast. This is true not only of gaining new skills, but also learning new information or understanding new concepts. In 1962, the Russian psychologist Lev Vygotsky called this space the zone of proximal development, or ZPD. He developed this idea as a criticism of psychometric testing in education, which viewed intelligence as permanent and fixed. Now here's how ZPD works. At the center, you have the things that you can do on your own. On the outside, you have the things that you cannot do on your own. But in this middle zone, you have the zone of proximal development, which are the things that you can do with guidance and support. In 1976, Jerome Bruner applied Vygotsky's theory to the educational setting with the concept of scaffolding. Here, educators provide supports, called scaffolds, to help students master the learning. Then, like the scaffolds in a building, teachers pull back the scaffolds as students master the knowledge and the supports become unnecessary. At this point, the ZPD grows outwards as students master new knowledge with new scaffolds. Now with scaffolds, you tap into prior knowledge and build on it with key supports. These might be tutorials and videos or visual aids. They might also involve using sentence stems or front-loading vocabulary for language. You might provide leveled reading, graphic organizers, or additional think time. Or it might mean breaking down directions into smaller tasks. Scaffolding can be challenging. It takes time and energy, which is a struggle with large class sizes. But when it works, it can lead to better learning and deeper thinking.
So that's with respect to scaffolding and ZPD. So basically ZPD is zonal for proximal development. In fact, the children sometimes they can learn anything they want, but when they look at the last part of the learning before they start learning, they'll be like, how can I learn this? So it's just like all of us looking at an aeroplane and saying that I can't fly an aeroplane. But in 1 month of training and practice, when you start flying the aeroplane, you can't believe 1 month back you said that. So it's all about the proximal development. It's like, I don't want to directly take that aeroplane for one round and come back in my local colony. No, you go step by step. And for that, there is a zone. In that zone, you need to keep on tapping on it. And the teachers have to guide the students in that particular zone, which is called as ZPD, Zone for Proximal Development, Zone for Proximal Development. I would request you to go through it a little later in detail. But now I would like to go with the next point. Flipped learning model. This is, my audio is low. I'm sorry. Flipped learning model is content consumption happens before the class. Class time is basically for reflection back. Now, this is, most of you might know about it. During the pandemic, it became very famous. The children are given a topic for them to do certain explorations. They'll go back, they'll read about it from probably YouTube or newspapers. And next week, they come back and talk about the stories of the same. So it's like, deliver the content in the class. No. Deliver the content at home by themselves. So coach learning in the class. So home 8-minute concept video. When they come back to the class, you just ask them questions and reflect upon what they've learned. Now, this particular methodology, flipped learning, is one of the most dangerous methods. Why? Because the children can learn anything and everything, and when they come back. And when they come back, it's dangerous because the teachers are in a forced position. The teachers are in a forced position to kind of learn everything that is available. Just imagine, reflection of light. The children can learn anything and come back. Now it's up to the teacher to learn anything and everything and comprehend everything. So, but the interesting part is flipped learning can also enable a teacher to be grounded. Sometimes there are certain examples or news that you might not know, but the children will know. They'll be like, oh, wow. And you are like, wow, yes, you're right. I never thought that could be a case. So flipped learning methodology is like a partnership in learning. You explore something, I explore something, let us all discuss about it next day. So this is again developing that self-SDL, self-directed learning methodologies. Let's go. Next is self-regulated learning, which is called as SRL methodology. Student takes control of goals, time, effort, and strategies. Now this is Zimmerman in 2002, very new. It is basically the ability of a student to have their own learning goals. Now, this is not very much applicable in our school setup because our school setup is time bound. That means within 8 months, you need to complete the portion. But according to self-regulated methodology, it's not really possible to confine the students with the time to complete a particular chapter. So it's kind of little difficult. That's the reason it's not so common and not so this thing, but this is absolutely applicable for all the teachers out there. If you want to learn something, and you want to give it yourself a time, self-regulated learning can be a good methodology. I'm going to the next one. This is project-based learning, which is called as learning through real-world extended task. So it's like the priority is not topic completion, the priority is to competency development, real world, the competency of talking to each other, communication skills, everything comes into picture. So it's about research, it's about decision making, it's about collaboration and then reflecting. So it's like design a water saving model for your home. They could have done that with any subject's knowledge. In fact, project based learning topics should be very difficult for the children to identify which subject does it belong to. That's where the successful question comes into picture. So that's project based learning coming into picture. Project based learning is more of exploration rather than demonstration. Demonstration does not come in project based learning. And next is retrieval based learning. Now this is very, very important. I like to stop sharing the screen and quickly tell you, teachers, many of us, Pushpalata ma'am, Sharanya ma'am, we have this habit of giving homework. When you go to the class, you tell the students, this is what the topic is, and by the time when you leave the classroom, you'll be like, students, this is what the homework is. The children go back home, they do the homework again. You solved exercise 2.1 here, 2.2 they have to do at home, and you keep doing it, keep doing it, keep doing it. Now when the child is coming back and doing the same thing, he's trying to recollect what the teacher told, doing it again in the home. This is called as repetition of the same task happening in the school at home as well, so that you can feed more and more information, so that the topic becomes reinforced. I think everybody does that, right? It's absolutely fine. Like the children have to go back, do the same thing again, so that the topic becomes reinforced. This is called as feeding of information again. But if the teacher is coming to the school, I mean, we have got, Geeta Armugam ma'am again. She's like, I don't want to give homework to the students. I don't like that methodology. So you go to the students and tell them, students, there is no homework for today. You can do whatever you want. You relax, enjoy your day, play, and come back tomorrow. Next day, when the children are coming to the class, Geeta ma'am is not starting the class directly. She's saying, students, do you remember yesterday we did this? Immediately, the children are like, yes, ma'am, we did something like this. Hey, do you remember what we spoke on? So and so. Immediately, the children start raising hands. In this particular moment, when Geeta ma'am is asking questions to the students are trying to recall what happened yesterday. Is called as retrieval of information. In the previous case, it was feeding information. In this case, it's called as retrieval of information. You know what? It is proven that a child is able to remember and understand things better when the information is retrieved and not really fed. This doesn't mean that you don't give homework. It just means that including recalling effects, as somebody nicely mentioned even in the previous session, or in the chat above, it is very important. Now, recapitulation or recalling, or some people have this methodology called as throwback Thursday. Last Saturday recall, something like that. Important for us to ask questions on what happened in the past. The more and more you recall, the more and more you retrieve information from the brain, the more and more you become a directed learner. It could be flashcards and things like that. Next is reflection driven learning. It's like end lesson with answers. No, end lesson with reflection. It's like a quick reflection on questions, and then you answer. What did I find easy? What challenged me? What confused me? What will I do differently next time? This is reflection, self-reflection. In fact, I think some of you might know this. 9th or 10th and 12th standard during the pandemic, they said that there's something has to be peer assessment and self-assessment. They wanted to make all these things for the portfolio maintenance. That comes under reflection-driven learning. And then there is one more thing called as choice-based learning methodology. Not applicable in India. Maybe the methodology is applicable. Choice-based is all about, I want to learn only by watching the videos. I want to learn only from Geeta madam, something like that. So you choose the methodology. It's not so easy to be done in the class, but you can, as a teacher, what we can do is we can have something called as differentiated instruction. The same topic, as a thumb rule, every teacher should teach in 3 different ways. First way, it could be by simple explanation using the chalk and the board. Second way, it could be by audio video content. Third way, it could be by conducting some project. I'll tell you, primary teachers follow this. For all the secondary teachers, I would like to tell you, primary teachers, especially grade 1 and 2, they do this, something called a CPA methodology. Are you there, primary teachers, KG, pre-primary? You know what is CPA? You know that. CPA basically means concrete pictorial and abstract way of learning. Suppose if I want to teach the students numbers and fruits, so I can say something like 5 apples. Now, 5 apples, rather than talking about it, the teacher will bring the real 5 apples, concrete, something that they can touch and feel. They give it to the students. These are 5 apples. Nice, no? Tomorrow, again, you can't bring the apple because the students have eaten it, say, for example. Next day, you draw it on the board. That's called as pictorial. Yeah, even in pictorial, it is important for all of us to write, the real pictures rather than animated pictures or cartoon pictures. Pictorial. The third is very interesting. Instead of having apples, you draw 5 stars and then you connect with apples. That's called as abstract. This is called a CPA methodology, differentiated instruction, so that all the children in the class can understand. That's it. So this is basically, one of the methodologies to incorporate self-directed learning, called as choice-based learning methodology. Next is technology-enabled self-learning, using digital tools for self-paced, adaptive learning, blah, blah, blah. For that, I would like to show you, quickly demonstrate something. Let's go to, say, chatgpt.com. I would like to zoom in a little bit. Now I'm going to ask ChatGPT. I think, hey ChatGPT, I would like to learn the concept of. See, I am a learner and I'm asking ChatGPT to learn the concept of trigonometry in a simple manner. Shall we work together on this? Now I am instructing ChatGPT to give me an idea on trigonometry. Hey Vasu, absolutely, I'm in. Let's learn trigonometry together, step by step. No fear, no heavy maths vibes. I'll keep it simple, visual, and real life oriented, just the way you would later explain to students or teachers. Oh wow. So first, big picture, no formulas. Trigonometry means measuring triangles. It's coming. Now, how tall is a building without climbing it? How far is a boat from the shore? I'm understanding something. I'm understanding something. Now I go here. Okay. I go down. After looking at this, I say, hey, ChatGPT. Now this is my way of learning. Can you relate the chapter of trigonometry with Rajnikant and give me a simple 5-liner explanation? Now let us see. Now ChatGPT has to relate trigonometry with Rajnikant. Of course, he has trigonometry Rajnikant style in just 5 simple lines. Rajnikant stands on the ground and looks at the top of a building. That look angle is what trigonometry studies. Super, huh? The building height is opposite side, the ground distance is adjacent side, and his heroic line of sight is hypotenuse. Wow. Sine tells how tall the building is compared to his style-filled gaze. Okay, sine. Wow. Cosine tells how far Rajni is standing from the building. Tangent directly connects Rajni's angle with the building's height. Styla signs. Nice, no? Even Rajnikant doesn't climb the building, trigonometry does the job. So now there is an interesting thing over here. Okay, now we can say, can you connect the concept of trigonometry uh, uh, with the concept of the movie called as Endiran? Now let us see. I'm randomly going. So here what we are doing, though I'm trying to bring humor by Endiran and all these things, this can go any direction. Can you relate my trigonometry with chemistry? Something like that. Perfect combo of style. Science is a simple concept level connection. Trigonometry through Endiran Chitti the robot. In Endiran, Chitti calculates angles, distances, and trajectories in milliseconds. That's pure trigonometry at work. When Chitti throws, jumps, or aims, he calculates the angle of action, theta, to decide how far. Since sine helps Chitti, blah, 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 and then it comes. So what Chitti does in seconds using trigonometry, humans do slowly using trial and error, something like that. Anyways, I'm coming back to the main part of the session. So I hope you understood. So self-directed learning can happen in any way, and with ChatGPT kind of tool, you can learn anything the way you want. In fact, even for preparing for the session, I use ChatGPT in a manner that I want. I'll repeat it. When I say I want, it's called a student agency. And in fact, in ChatGPT, there is also something called study mode. I would like to, show you. Click on plus and click on more. Can you see this option called a study and learn? Click on this. And if you say study and learn, I want to know the answer to 3 plus 2. Now let us see what it says. It should ideally say 5, right? But we have clicked on study mode. So it will not say 5. It will say something else. Come on. Come on. All right, let's do it together. Think of it like this. Start with 3 and count forward to 2. See, it did not give the answer. It has become the teacher. Now you follow the instruction. Start with 3 and count forward. 3 goes to 4, one step. 4 goes to, I reached 5. Okay. Okay. So what is it going to say now? It's study and learn. So it's going to take some time and then respond as a teacher. Exactly right. You started at 3, took 2 steps forward and landed on 5. So we can say it confidently 3 plus 2 is equal to 5. Nice and clean. Nice now. So like, okay, sine square. Let us understand if it's able to see. Sine square theta plus cos. I'm trying to be as naive like you as possible in ChatGPT so that, okay, equals, let's ask, I don't know what it will say. So it'll try to understand that again. Just another 2 minutes and it'll be done. Good one. Let's think out together. Try simple. So sine theta, theta 90 degree. What is sine theta? It's asking all the question and then you have to answer it one by one. So this is called a study and learn methodology. Now coming to the last part, teachers, it's the summary of the whole session is something like this. Instead of saying, say this instead. So listen carefully. I'll explain. No, try it first. Tell me what you notice. Tell me what you notice is important. Instead of saying this is the correct answer, say how did you arrive at your answer rather than declaring. It's like focus on the process, not on the product. I'll show you the method. Instead of saying I'll show you the method, which strategy do you want to try? So you're telling the student so that you can try any strategy you want. Yeah, something like that. Don't make mistakes. No. What did this mistake teach you? Competency based education. Follow the steps exactly. Is there another way to approach this? Revise again. What do you remember without looking? Ask me if you don't understand. What have you tried so far? Finish this quickly. How well do you understand this? Everyone do the same task. Choose the task that challenges you. I will check your work. How confident are you about your work? Pay attention. What is your goal for this lesson? This will be in the exam. How is this useful in the real life? That's it. That is a summary of this whole statement. So that brings me to the end of the session, teachers, to understand what self-directed learning, methodology of inculcating the character of or an attitude of learning by self, student agency, how teaching can enable that. We started right from knowledge, skills, and attitude and gradually went on to one step at a time. I would like to share the screen again and quickly show all the slides one by one. So we went from here, we went to the different methodologies. One was technology method, choice-based learning method, reflection-driven method, retrieval-based learning, project-based learning, self-regulated learning, flip learning. Before flip learning, we understood zone of proximity, proximal development, scaffolded learning, inquiry-based learning, metacognitive teaching methodology. We understood for a teacher, it's all about curriculum, pedagogy, assessment, and technology. We understood constructivism and cascading effect. We understood cognitive load theory. We understood metacognition, thinking of your own thinking. I think we were talking about Geeta Arumugam ma'am. We also understood how NEP came into picture through OECD and why NEP talks about self-learning. And all these things happens very well only because of something called a synapse. So it's important for us to have a strong, connection, reduce the synapse. And that's why we wanted to understand the neuroscience. And then the basics, knowledge, skills, and attitude with metacognition. And then we ended the session called as methodologies for self-learning based teaching. I would like to share the presentation with all of you right now on the chat, both on, uh, both on, one second. My mouse is working. The YouTube and then Zoom. Give me a minute. Okay, that's great. Teachers, by the way, the unmute option, the reflection form is important for everybody to fill. I'm stopping the screen share before that share. And I will, anyone with the link, copy link, done. and content. Okay, I'm sharing the presentation as well. I'm stopping the screen share, teachers, and you all can unmute if required. But before you all unmute, I would like to request Georgina ma'am to unmute. Ma'am, you're able to unmute. I'm not sure. Yes, you are. Yeah,
Yes, sir.
great.
Yes.
Yes, Georgina ma'am. Thank you so much for giving the opportunity, ma'am. Over to you, ma'am.
So we should be very thankful for this wonderful, insightful session. Really was very helpful, and I'm sure my teachers, they'll agree with me. It was, the way you did itself, the session you took forward, it's like how our class should be. That's how, self-learning, like you have taught us how we
Thank
have
you.
to do it. And finally, you came back with what all you had. It's like a recap what you did. No, it was really,
Thank you, ma'am.
really wonderful. And Chat GPT, you gave us some extra way of how to use Chat GPT. That is also really, I think it'll be helpful for all of us. Shrikala ma'am, can you share? Mrs. Shrikala, she is the principal of Global School.
Oh,
I think
okay.
she was there. Mrs. Shrikala, can you share your input? Or teachers, would you like to share? Anybody?
That's
One
okay.
person maybe?
Yeah, the teachers can unmute. I mean, the unmute option is enabled, by the way, 5 minutes back.
Yeah.
Yeah, good afternoon, everybody. Shrikala here.
Yes, ma'am.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
I must say the session was wonderful, very beautifully
Thank
done.
you.
And I think every point you put forth was very interesting and applicable. Each one of us, we learned a lot of things today, which is applicable. Very nicely done, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Means a lot. Thank you so much.
It was really wonderful, sir. Very useful for us. This technology-based education and this particular time, this session was really, really good. We look forward to have more sessions with you, sir, in future. In
My
person,
pleasure.
maybe,
My pleasure.
not webinar.
Absolutely.
We would like to have you in person so that our
Sure.
teachers will learn even more. Thank you
Sure,
very
ma'am.
much.
Sure, ma'am. It's my pleasure. Thank you. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you so
I will
much,
be
sir.
sharing the responses of reflection form with you in another few minutes, ma'am.
Okay,
You can
sir,
go
please.
through and check the teachers who joined.
Sure,
Yeah.
sir.
Thank,
Sure.
thank you. Thank you so much,
sir.
teachers. Thank you so much,
Thank
Arjun.
you.
Thank you,
God
everyone.
bless you,
Thank
sir.
you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you, teachers. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Nirmala ma'am. Shanmugapriya ma'am. Thank you so much. Aarti ma'am. Rajeshwari ma'am. Thank you so much. I used a lot of your names. I hope you don't mind.
No
Yeah,
problem at
Sundari
all.
ma'am.
Our teachers are used to that. Any seminar, they're very free.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Reflection. Thank you. Thank you. Great. I'm closing the session, ma'am.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I'll
ma'am.
share the reflection form and the responses very soon.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. God bless you.
the chat.